Hello everybody and welcome back to Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson, and today I have a video about how to propagate a avocado pit so that it becomes a beautiful avocado tree in your home. And well, I wanted to make this video because I've never been able to get an avocado pit to grow into anything before. I couldn't get them to root, I couldn't get them to do anything. And well, after I started making my indoor terrace garden and getting into house plants, I thought, right, now I'm going to try and get into this and I'm going to produce me my very own avocado trees because I want this plant in my home and I know it will look beautiful with time. And you know what? I managed this time. I did it. So I just want to tell you what I've done. This is some tips and tricks of how I got my avocado pits to produce roots. The first one you can see in front of me here. Now this, and I will bring it closer to you because I am absolutely amazed. Now this pit I put into a glass, see-through glass, and I put these two corn on the cob maize holders for when you eat maize. I put those in the side to hold it over the edge of that glass and filled up with water and just kept topping up the water. Now and again I changed the water, but I just kept topping it up every time I saw that it got too low. And I left it behind another plant. I was like, I want to kind of forget that I've got that going on because I haven't got much patience when it comes to propagation. I want to see something happening as quick as possible. After a couple of weeks, I think, I saw a crack come out of the bottom and I thought, oh dear, that's it. I've damaged it. It's gonna just get all sorts of bacteria and it's just gonna rot and die. And then the outer skin, the outer shell on the pit started peeling off and I'm like, oh, that's it. This is definitely not going to work. But I'm like, I'm going to just leave it there anyway and see what happens. So the crack got bigger and bigger around the bottom and then I could see inside and I could see a little tiny beginning of a root growing inside the pit and I was ecstatic. And now I'm at the stage where the root of my pit is a good 10 centimeters long and it's starting to get bubbles on the edge and it's starting to grow auxiliary roots off the main root. And I'm so excited. And not just that, this avocado pit has started to produce a leaf. Yeah, it started to produce a leaf out of the front. At first, I thought it was another root growing in a strange direction because it just looks like a little brown root. But actually, in the light now, I can see that there's a little leaf there about to unfurl. And I am so excited about this. As soon as I saw the roots starting to grow out of the bottom of this pit, I found this beautiful, long, thin propagation vase. And I put it in the top on there like that, so there's actually no need for these whatsoever, but because I've stuck them into the pit, I'm afraid to take them out because I don't want any bacteria to be able to get into those holes. So until it's much older, I'm not going to be pulling those out. I'm just going to leave them there. I just don't want to take the risk for now. And well, anyway, when I put it in this glass vase, it was in my office, in the window, because I thought it needed as bright light as possible. And as soon as it started growing this root, I put it into this vase and I brought it into the indoor terrace garden and put it down on the floor next to a grow light in between a grouping of plants on the far side of my indoor terrace garden, behind other plants, and just left it there. I could see it because it's higher, and in a matter of no time, the root just started extending down. And now, a couple of weeks later, this root is halfway down this glass vase. And as I said, it's getting bubbles on the side and auxiliary roots are starting to come out. So I know that this is very happy. So I want to bring it in for a closer look so you can see all the action going on in this pit for now. Now look at it at the top first. There's the pit. And you can see where I pierced it to hold it in a glass before. in the sides and how I don't want to take those out because I'm afraid of bacteria getting in. And then the root just started growing and extending down. Look at this now. In order to show you this root, I'm going to have to turn off my light ring because it's reflecting on the glass and you can't see it properly. So look how that root is extending all the way down this glass propagation vase. And look at those extra auxiliary roots coming out. And that main root, how thick it's growing. If I turn it around, maybe you can see. And you can see all the bubbles where all the other roots are going to start coming out. And at the top, as I said, just here, there's a little delicate leaf just starting to poke out of the side there. See that? It's poking out of that crack in the middle of the whole pit. And that there is the beginning of my avocado tree getting its first leaf and growing up. Oh, I am so happy. I am so excited. I can't believe I managed to get this to happen. I am so happy. Look at the root on this and look at the little leaf. It's just beautiful. So I just want to tell you a little bit more about what I've done. The first thing I did was I put this avocado pit into a shorter see-through glass, holding the side with these corn on the cob holders, holding it up from falling into the water, because you don't want your avocado pit in the water. You want it above the water. The bottom can touch the water and then it will start cracking and then the root will come out, and then you can keep a distance between the pit and the water so that it doesn't have any chance of rotting. The root will come down quickly into the water and absorb what it needs to survive. So, as I said, when it started getting its roots, I put it into this tall glass propagation vase that is thin, and the root has space to extend down and get those auxiliary roots. What you need to do is wait for this root to start getting a lot of auxiliary roots and for the main root to thicken a little bit more. When the first stem comes out with the leaves on, let that grow up to around about 6 inches and then cut off the top, and then it will grow out a little bit more, and then when the new leaves come out, you are ready to plant this plant into soil. So you don't want to let your plant, when it finally comes out, just to keep growing up and up and up and up and up, because you're just going to have one big trunk and a few leaves growing out on a thin stem like a normal tree. Now, if you're someone who is living somewhere where it's warm and you want to put your plant outside and you want it to just grow up into a long thin tree, fine. But if you want to have it as a house plant and you want to have it looking bushier, then you're going to have to prune it back and let it flush out more. And every time it grows to around 6 inches, prune it, cut it, so that it gets new branches coming out and becomes a bushier plant. What I'm thinking of doing is I want to have 3 of these avocado pits now in one pot, and I will be pruning them and I will let that become a bushy plant together, 3 stems. So you'll get a much more bushier effect, because I have seen people's plants that they've propagated themselves, friends of mine and around and about, and they're always just one thin stem, and because a lot of people don't really know what they should do with the plant and they don't want to hurt it and they don't want to do anything with it because they're so happy about the fact that they got it to grow, they just let it grow and it just grows long and straggly, and then it just gets too long and it can't hold itself up, or you have to put stakes in and all these things, and it just looks leggy and there's nothing going on until right up in the ceiling. If you want a compact plant, you're going to have to get in there and prune it back so it bushes out more. But this is all going to come up in a later video, if I'm lucky enough, and how my pit is growing. I'm very happy and I seem to be doing everything right at the moment. And my energy is in it and I'm just loving it. And I just wish it all good and the best. So that is going to carry on like that. Now, beside it, you can see I have another one of these see-through propagation vases that thin, because I decided to try and propagate a couple more avocado seeds. So by the side of me here, I have a couple of bags. Now, I decided, so there's the bag and there's the avocado pit in the bag. And you're probably wondering, well, what's all that about then? I mean, why have you got it in a bag this time? Well, I decided because I had success with the water propagation method that I wanted to start off with another method. And basically, this was also me being a little bit lazy. I decided to put an avocado pit into a plastic bag with just a little ball of moist tissue, leave it there and see if anything happens. So this one I've only just done recently, so I'll open it and show you the pit in here with the tissue. And I don't expect anything's happened. I just want to show you what's going on. I can get another bag and another piece of tissue and carry on the process. Let's just open this so I can just show you the technique that I use. Now, basically, plastic bag, get my avocado pit out. So basically you can see the avocado pit is just a normal pit and there's the bottom where the crack will come out of. That's where your crack will open. So if you do have this resting on the top of a glass jar or on a propagation vase, that needs to be at the bottom because that is where the crack's going to come out and the root will extend from. This one, as I said, I've only just put it into the plastic bag with a piece of moist tissue. And all I've done is, before I put it in there, I washed the pit off thoroughly. So there's none of the flesh from the avocado fruit all around it to cause a lot of bacteria. It could get fungus on it or something like that. But, you know, if you open up, you can wipe that off. It will be fine. This is the tissue. I just rested it on this tissue and put that in the bag and sealed it and put it down by grow light and I'm leaving it. And that is my propagation method number 2. And this propagation method is also working. It's also working because I'm going to show you avocado pit number 2, because this is number 3. Number 1 is in that vase. Number 2 I have to show you because it's more advanced, and this is number 3. So luckily I had 3, so I could show you the different periods in time. So this has been in this bag 1 or 2 weeks and nothing's happening just yet. Now I want to show you my avocado number 2 that has been in this bag for a good couple of weeks, maybe 3. So actually it was time for me to get this out of that plastic bag and have a little look because it's almost completely dry. But despite that, now people, look at this. This is unbelievable for me. Despite being in that little plastic bag and almost dry now, it has thrown me out 2 roots. So look at this, despite being in the bag and being almost completely dried out, this avocado pit has produced me 2 beautiful roots. And if you can see inside the pit, you can see how the roots are growing out from the center and how this cracked out of the bottom part of the pit. And now I really need to get this into a propagation vase where it can get into the water and extend out that root beautifully. Isn't it unbelievable? I'm just so happy that this worked out. So it doesn't have to be difficult at all. All you have to do is get yourself a little plastic see-through bag and a wet piece of tissue and put your clean avocado pit in that bag and seal it. Put it by grow light, put it somewhere where it's bright light and leave it alone and it will germinate. This has germinated by itself in that bag. And well, I came just in time, as I said, because I've left it a little bit too long. It was nearly completely dry in there. And that's why I think it's flushed out a second root at the same time on a short root here. But all I need to do is put it into this propagation vase now and it will just take off. So I just need to try and get the other root to go a little bit more down so I'll be able to get both of these into this water here. Because there's a little bit of the outer husk in the way of that root extension there. I don't want to damage it. So I'm going to do my best to get this root, both parts, into the water. And I've succeeded. I've actually succeeded to get both those roots that were growing out into the water. So now I have my second avocado pit propagation extension carrying on now. So that is number 2 that can grow down into the vase. And this one, I'm just going to get a new bag and a new tissue, moisten it, tie it up, and put it next to the grow light and forget about it for a couple of weeks. And it will be growing like these as well. And that will be number 3. So I have 3 stages going on here. And well, this is just brilliant. I can't believe I did it. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Now I just feel like I can get loads of avocado trees whenever I want. And I think it's to do with this room being a very high temperature. It's at a very good humidity level between 65 and 70. The avocado pits are by a grow light, so they're getting bright light that they need to grow out. And it is working. Everything is working. But as I said, I started off with this in my office on the windowsill, nothing special, in a glass, and just left it, and it started growing a root anyway. So that also worked. So I'm just saying, basically, you can just put this in your windowsill. Make sure it's a bright place. And, you know, change out the water now and again. But when the root gets bigger like this, I'm not going to be changing out that water. I don't dare to disturb any of those auxiliary roots that are coming out now because they're just tender at the moment. So I'm just going to be leaving this and see how far it can go like that. And yeah, plastic bag, your avocado pit, a plastic bag, a moist tissue, a grow light or bright light, and just seal it and leave it and let it go. So if you want to have a high ratio of getting at least 1 or 2 plants, every time you eat an avocado, 5, 6, put all those in a plastic bag with a piece of tissue. And I suggest that you put them in separate bags, not the same bag. Separate bags, because if there's any bacterial or fungal infection, it will only get one of your pits and not all of them in one go. Because that could happen. Or if one dies or rots, it won't start rotting up the others. In separate bags. And then you're going to have a high ratio of some of them germinating. And as I've just shown you here, this has just worked out. And I'm going to be putting these all in one pot and make myself a beautiful, bushy avocado plant with time. So there we have them, ready to carry on the process. And look at this one with its new roots in this propagation vase. I'm just so pleased about that. Well, you're going to have to tune in again in the future because I'll be doing a follow-up video or maybe a couple of follow-up videos on how these avocado pits are doing. And you can see the process and how they turn into beautiful plants. I'm really hoping that this is going to be a success. So this was just part 1 of how my avocado pits turn into avocado plants. So before I close off completely here, I just wanted to show you these lovely avocado pits close up, cleaned and washed and fresh. And these wonderful propagation vases and how easy it is to keep your avocado pit on top of a thin, tall glass like this, where the root can grow and extend down, as you can see on the one on the left, which has auxiliary roots coming out and looks absolutely fantastic. And then the one on the right, you can see how it starts out with a small root that extends out of the crack in the middle of the pit, and that will extend its way down into this glass vase. And it's absolutely wonderful having them in glass vases because you can see the whole process, you can see what's going on. That's the exciting part. When they finally get going, they actually start producing roots very quickly. And you can see this one at the top, the little leaf starting to poke out of the side, starting to get a little bit of a green colour as well. And then we go down and look at this wonderful root again with all these bubbles on the side. It's so interesting how they grow and seeing all of that energy that is exploding from that pit, ready to produce a beautiful avocado tree. And just think, you can go to your local supermarket, buy and eat a ton of avocados and produce yourself a lovely bundle of avocado plants, as simple as this. Go out and have yourself some fun with your avocados, people, and make yourself your own avocado trees. I love this. So all that's left for me to say now is thank you very much once again for watching Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson. Please remember to like, subscribe and hit the bell so you know when my next video will be uploaded. And I will see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.